right, well, welcome to another edition of the Alden Report. My name is Michael Alden. We are here inside Blue Vase Studios. Folks, I tell you, I'm really, really excited for my next guest. She is the classic entrepreneur. Her story is amazing. She, went from nothing, from being in debt and destitute from her own story to being featured in Forbes magazine and, again, in debt with really no money and then growing out a business to a multi-million-dollar business. She's the owner of USABride. Again, her story is amazing. Please help me welcome Dareth Colburn.
Correct.
There it is.
Hi, Michael.
Thank you so much for being here. Really, really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
So you've probably seen our format. So we have a list of questions. I want to kind of go through them with you, and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay?
Sure.
Awesome. So one of the first things I like to ask is, I talked to a lot of different people about what success is. So my first question for you is, how do you define success?
For me, it's two things. It's pretty simple. It's, do you love what you do, and are you adding value?
Okay.
And for me, I love what I do. I'm passionate about the products that I'm creating. And I'm so honored and grateful that those products get to be part of someone's most special day, their wedding day.
Sure.
So that's success for me.
So now I like to sometimes break this up. So we have business success we like to talk
Yes.
about, right?
Yes.
And I like to ask to also kind of a subcategory of this is, are you able to separate the business and the personal success and for you, or are they all kind of one and the same? Because for entrepreneurs, I'm going to let you off the hook a little bit. For entrepreneurs, they're almost all kind of tied together.
They are. They are.
Yeah, okay,
They
all right.
are.
That's what I figured. All right, second question. What is your biggest professional obstacle and how did you overcome it? Because I read your story, it's awesome, we'll get into it, but tell us what your most difficult obstacle was and how did you overcome it?
I think when starting the business, my biggest obstacle was actually this.
Sure.
It was fear
Right.
and doubt.
Right.
And as we talked about a little bit, when I first started the business, I was a single mother. I had no money, $30,000 in debt, lived in a crappy apartment. And what I did was I scraped up enough money and I happened to go to a weekend seminar. It was a Tony Robbins seminar.
Okay.
It was a fire walk.
Yeah.
And I tell you, when you're standing in front of that fire, you're feeling the heat from those hot coals. There's
Right.
all kinds of fear and doubt coming
Right.
up. But when you get to the other side, for me, it was life-changing.
Sure.
It's all about what felt impossible was now possible.
Sure.
And I look for those kinds of situations, people, opportunities, seminars that continue to stretch my thinking
Right.
in those possibilities.
So your most difficult thing was really overcoming your own personal obstacles, which was your brain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big subscriber of that we control our thoughts don't control us. And it's really difficult sometimes for people, especially even being an entrepreneur when things get tough, to step back and say, hey, you know what, I control my thoughts,
Yeah.
right? And
it's a constant, it's something that I continue to do. It's like working out. You don't just become fit one day and say, okay, I'm fit, I can stop working out.
Right.
So I'm constantly reading and attending workshops that I can
Right.
learn and grow more.
yeah, that's a good point because a lot of people think that they, go to these seminars, and I wasn't a believer in any of this stuff myself when I was younger.
Yeah.
They think they just go to one seminar and then their life is going to change forever, but that's not really the case. I mean, that one instant helped set you on a path, trajectory, obviously, to where you are today, but it does take like time, right?
Yeah.
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 All right. Well, because a lot of people, again, they look for that instant.
Yeah.
They want a pill and they want everything to go away,
Yeah.
or they want to wake up one day and they just want to achieve success.
Yeah. It's practice in everything.
Takes time.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. Now, I talked to a lot of people about business and education. How do you feel about traditional education, formal education, as it relates to business? Do we need it? Is it important? What's your take on it?
Yeah, we always hear those stories of the people that dropped out of high school or dropped out of college and they're, mega successful.
Right.
I think it depends on the individual. I think that traditional education is a really important building block for learning,
Sure.
for overcoming challenges. But I also, on the other hand, I see some of these kids coming out of school with this insurmountable debt.
Right.
And I don't think that it really helps them on the road to success. I think that can really weigh them down. So I think it really depends on the individual.
Sure. Yeah, it's funny. I'm an attorney by trade. I went to law school, and I remember getting to my last year and saying to myself, I have no idea how to be a lawyer, and I don't know what I'm gonna do, you know. And then you graduate high school, and then you go to college. You graduate college, and it's like, now what? And yeah, I'm a little concerned with our educational system where they don't teach people how to be successful. What you just said.
Yes.
And I think I think we need to really change that. I don't know who's going to do that. Maybe we can. Maybe we'll start here.
Try.
That's a great answer. Now, I heard you talking a little bit about it in the green room. What is your in your business? What is the most effective form of marketing? Now, your website is USABride.com, right?
Yes.
So I was on your website. It's awesome, and I look at it, and I was somewhat overwhelmed because there's like so much stuff there. Beautiful stuff, by the way. Again, it's USABride.com. But what is your most effective form of marketing? Where do you get your customers from? How do you get your brand out there?
Right. It's really, social media is such a great tool for us.
Sure.
Weddings are such a community event. Brides love to talk about it. They love to share about it. They want to be inspired, so visual is really important. So Pinterest is number one for us.
Right.
Facebook's important. We do a lot of customer service via Facebook.
Right.
That's how they want to communicate with us.
Sure.
Instagram as well. And now those channels also, they're always changing and evolving, and now there's advertising components to them. So we're playing around with different pieces and what works the best and
Right.
where to put our money and effort, because social media does take a lot of time and effort.
Now, do you do that yourself, or do you have someone that does that for you, or?
It's a combination. When I see something, I'm on my phone
Right.
and I'm posting it up here. I'm putting it here. I'm
Right.
putting it out there. I have interns that help with that because truly the young people now, I feel old saying young people.
Right.
But you know, they were born into this social media, so you don't have to teach them how to use Instagram or some of these other things. You might want to teach them what your brand is and what your voice is and how you want it to be portrayed.
Right, and you have a little girl. Well, she was 11 when I read the story. She's still 11 years old,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So she, I have a 9-year-old, and she has an Instagram account. I'm not letting her get Facebook yet,
Yeah.
but
No.
yeah, you're right. They're like born into it.
They are. They're internet ready.
And Periscope, which we're on now, this is relatively new. I heard we talking about it. I love it. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome for your business too because you can maybe when you get a new bridal dress or when you get some new jewelry, you can film it. I'm sure, like you said, it's such a huge multi-billion-dollar industry that you're in. And once you're on Periscope and all these other things, I think people are really gonna love it. Now, stress. As an entrepreneur, if you've, again, you were featured in Forbes magazine. I read Inc. all the time, and stress is a very big factor in all of life. But when you look at stress from an entrepreneurial standpoint, it's a real problem. There's a high level of suicide. There's a high level of depression and things like that.
Yeah.
How do you handle stress? What's your secret? What do you do?
For me, I love yoga. I do a hot yoga.
Yeah.
It's in a room with 100 degrees.
Right.
And it's like a power yoga, and I call it my little mini vacation for one.
Sure.
Because it's all about me. There's no business. There's no family responsibilities. It's my time.
Yoga Sakti? You go the one in North Beverly?
Actually, Yoga Passion.
Okay. All right.
And in particularly with yoga, the practice is about the breath, the focusing on the present moment.
Right.
And I think that's a really good thing to be able to practice with everything else that goes on in the world. It's so busy.
Sure.
That I think that's something that's really good to practice.
Yeah. Now, how often do you do yoga?
I try and do it 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay. Yeah.
I was in yoga the other day and I loved it. We were in a pose and he said, okay, when you hit the wall, don't give up.
Keep pushing.
But don't push through the wall, but find the door. I was like,
What does that mean?
that's brilliant because you always have obstacles in business, in life, and everything, and there's always an answer.
Right.
There's always a way to figure it out and do it, and,
Right.
and that's the door.
Yeah.
Just find the door.
I'm a big fan of yoga. Believe it or not, my size, I used to go to Yoga Sakti a lot. And the first time I did hot yoga, I called it Bikram yoga. And for all you yoga,
Yes.
for all you
It's a
yoga
big-
purists, it's not, well, you may be going to your the exact Bikram style, but I had some
Yes.
people say, "Oh, it's not really Bikram; it's just hot yoga." Anyway, the first time I did it, I think I hallucinated. I'm pretty sure I saw Jesus Christ because it was the same thing: 105 degrees, 100 degrees humidity, and I'm a big guy, and all these guys had their shirts off, and I'm like, "Why do these guys have their shirts off?" I got it after, but it is a great it's a great thing, and there's also there's a couple other places that I go to as well that's not as hot, but it is awesome. I find that if you don't, if you're not hydrated for like 3 days before and you go into a hot yoga class, it's not a good thing after.
Yeah.
But yoga is, and what I like about yoga too is it used to be this kind of hippie-ish thing where people were often doing these weird things and they were associated with hippies and cults and all this other stuff. But it's again, I'm a big guy. For someone my size to be holding these poses, it's
easy.
amazing for your body. You're sore. I remember you're holding the warrior pose, and my legs are killing me the next day. It's awesome. So for the people that are watching or try yoga wherever it is, and it is it's healing, right?
Yes.
And it's relaxing, but at the same time you're working out. It's awesome,
I
right?
think it's a real reset button for me.
I like that. It's a reset button. I was just reading about that. Finish the sentence for me if you could. Okay. If my company lacks blank, then we will not succeed.
Okay. If my company lacks caring, it will not succeed. And that's not a really sexy answer, but really when you break that down, I care about the type of beads that we use on a veil.
Sure.
I care that when we get a new sample of a headpiece in, I have every person in my office try it on. And
Sure.
we're in the mirror and we're trying it on. Is the headpiece, is it comfortable? Does it pinch? Is it too big? Is it falling off?
Right.
I care about every interaction that we have with the brides, whether it's in our retail store, whether it's on the phone. Are we smiling? Are we happy?
Right.
And I care about the experience on the website. Are
Sure.
the pictures really great? Is the description clear and accurate and complete?
Right.
Is the navigation clear? Does it make sense? And all of those things put together, it creates a business. It creates
Right.
a wonderful platform to grow.
That's a great answer, and it doesn't have to be sexy, but it is. And but I wanted to, as you're saying this, and I'm the same way. I care about every aspect of my business, from the top down to the bottom, everything in between. But do you find though that sometimes that your caring can kind of take over, and to the point where you're unable to delegate it properly? Does that happen sometimes, and you feel like you have to step back and say, all right, I have people that can do this, and let me trust them? Is that
Sure.
Yeah.
And there's circumstances where if the lines are all lighting up, and so let me grab the phone,
Right.
and I'm talking to a bride and they need it, and I go, oh, we'll get that out for you today,
Right.
absolutely, and I promise them everything because I
Right.
care.
Right.
And then I go out to my staff
They
and
say
I go,
you're crazy.
I told her we'd get this out today, and they're like, oh my God, and they're like, okay.
Right.
But so sometimes that can get you.
I
in
do
trouble.
this. I do the same exact thing. I jump on the phone sometimes and I'll take sales calls.
Yeah.
And then I'll make all these sales, and they say, "Well, yeah, but you're doing things that we can't do." I said, "Well, I've been here a while."
Yeah.
Now, we talk about the millennials. I have a lot of them that work for me, and I am concerned with what's going on in society with the Y generation. What advice would you give young people in the workforce right now on how to grow? And let me just expand on that a little bit, because what I'm seeing right now, and I call it the MTV generation, or this overnight success group of young people who feel as though that they should be at the top. They should be making six figures. They should be driving the nice cars. And it kind of scares me because they shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
So at least right now. So what advice would you give them?
Really, it's learn more.
Okay.
I think that some of them think that their education is done when they graduate.
Right.
And it's really just beginning.
Right.
And, today you have access to so much information with the internet. There's so many successful people out there in so many different fields that, if you don't find a mentor, find a book, find a seminar, find a workshop, find a free webinar. There's
Right.
so much stuff out there that you can learn, and I think that's so important.
I agree, because you feel like sometimes when you go to college, or even then you go on to you get your master's and law school and all these other things, you feel like I've done enough.
Yeah.
But you're really just getting started.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and you're right. I was one of those people, and I didn't believe in a lot of these things. But reading my first book I read was The Magic of Thinking Big, and then from there it just spiraled into all these other things. And you're right there. Your brain is something that's evolving. And I was reading some research recently, and a lot of people think that as you get older, your brain just deteriorates, and it can't get smarter. But the science has proven that it can.
Yeah.
By just working it.
Yeah, and learning new skills.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Now, we talked again, so I don't know if this was a secret strategy that you gave, but can you give maybe a secret strategy or business technique that you use other than caring, other than learning more, that maybe an entrepreneur right now listening can take advantage of, or a young executive or someone in the workforce that again is looking to maybe take that next step? Is there a secret that you do that most people, or something that you see that most people don't do that they should be doing?
One of the things that I like to do is I like to have a little team huddle in the morning.
Okay.
Handful of people, 5 to 15 minutes. It's not long. It's pretty short. I'm always standing. Some people are standing and sitting. And it's a quick recap of the day, what happened yesterday. Did that bride get that veil that she needed overnighted? Did that go out? Oh, fabulous. Great job. It's setting the goals and the intent for the next day.
Right.
I like to have everyone participate in some way, and it's amazing really what you can get done in 10 or 15 minutes when you know that's the huddle. It's not a sit down and let's talk about this or brainstorm.
Right.
It's quick. It creates a little bit of energy. It creates a team spirit. A lot of times I'm working on things that not everybody else in the team knows what's going on, because they're doing their task, and I always like to interject things like that because people want to be part of the team and part of something bigger. Right. And I think that creates a level of excitement.
Sure. Now you do that every day?
I try to, but
I'm sure it probably gets harder as you grow, right? I mean, because you're doing so many things, but you try and do it as much as you can, right?
But just to carve out that 10, 15 minutes really makes a difference, and I can feel the energy in the office.
Right.
It just stays elevated when you do that.
I like that. I think we have our own form of that. Every single day we get updates, and updates are provided to me and then the managers, and it kind of just falls to the chain of command. Yeah. And it's what didn't you accomplish the day before and why, and what do you plan on accomplishing today, and what do you plan on accomplishing for the week, and then we do it weekly every week. So that way everyone can kind of see, like you said, where everyone's going, because as you grow as an organization, it's tough, like you said, to kind of always have people there at the same time, right? In this day and age, where we talked about the social media and all these, there are so many different forms of communication out there these days. I think I already know what your answer is going to be, but I'm asking anyway. What is your best form of communication for your business? You're in the bridal business. Right. What's your best form of communication?
To my customers or internally?
Yeah, to your customers.
So customers, it's more the interaction with social media. Email is
really. Yeah. I'm surprised by that.
Yeah.
Is that because because they're doing a lot of the legwork before they come into your place?
Yeah. A lot of times they'll email us a picture of their dress and say, "Oh, I'm trying to find a headpiece that's going to match this."
Sure.
And then we'll send them suggestions, and you send them a link right in the email that says, "Oh, we think this piece will go."
Right.
Sometimes it's on the phone. Some people like to have a person right there on the phone helping.
So you're using everything.
It's everything.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Now, if you could leave our viewers and listeners with one piece of advice in business, again, we talked about several different things. One thing you said is let's huddle, almost have updates every day. Let's learn more. Let's care. Is there one other thing? And I try to extract this from people, and sometimes people get concerned about that, but it's not like it's going to hurt anyone's business or anything. Is there something you could say? You need to do this every single day as a person in business, whether you're the CEO, whether you're working in an assembly line, or whether you're a middle manager. This is something you need to do every single day in order to grow and succeed in life and in business.
Yeah, I think you need a vision and a big vision for where you're going and where you want to be. Certainly, I'm sure we both, goals and budgets but I'm looking at not only what I want my business to do in 2016, but I'm thinking 3 and 5 years down the road. What does
Sure.
that company look like? What does the org chart, and I write it out, what does that org chart look like?
Right.
What does a budget look like for a company that's 3 times the size of my company?
Right.
What does the floor plan look like in terms of where my desk is and where all these other employees, and how many other employees do I need? And I really sit with that, and I think about it, and I really spend time visioning those kinds of things.
So having a vision, mapping it out, setting goals, and working towards them. It's really,
Yeah.
I tried to kind of just bring it. Now, all right, so we're done with the questions, but I read your story. You were featured on Forbes magazine, and I was on your website. Tell us, in quickly, if you could, about your story. How, where you started, where you are, and where you're going to be in 3 to 5 years, like you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an awesome story, so go ahead to tell it, please.
Well, I mentioned about, where I started from, being broke and no money and in debt. And I started with 5 tiaras, 5 veils, and 5 jewelry sets, putting them up online. Not sure at that point, this is 12 years ago, is anyone going to buy? And I would steam the veils in the morning when I take a shower.
I read
were
that.
Steaming, and
That's awesome.
And if I needed to talk to a bride or call back, I had a toddler at the time, so it was literally put in her favorite Barney video
Right.
along with a lollipop,
Right.
quiet, and then I would call back the bride. I would take pictures outside because I didn't have any expensive or couldn't afford any expensive camera equipment
Right.
and outdoor lighting, and it was winter time, and you cut the fingers off the mittens so that you can be outside. My neighbors must have thought I was crazy. Snow.
Right.
Around the snow, I'd
Yeah.
put a little piece of paper down and take photos. So you just do what you have to do.
I love it. It's a great story. Again, she went from again being in debt, $30,000 in debt to nothing, to a multi-million-dollar, multinational business. Her name is Dareth Colburn. She is the president, CEO, and founder of USABride.com. If you're looking for anything related to the bridal business, but not only that, but more. She's got jewelry that you can I think she's probably wearing some of it now. She does a lot of stuff that really just makes you look beautiful, especially for women. I don't think you really have anything of men out there, but the men, really, at the end of the day, you need a happy bride. Thank you for being here. Your story is really, really amazing. Again, my name is Michael Alden. You're listening to the Alden Report, and we're here in Blue Bay Studios. Thank you for being my guest. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for spending your time.
Thank
You have an
you, Michael.
amazing story, and I look forward to talking to you again really soon.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right.